But, oh, the camera's on?
Yeah, you live.
All right, well, first off, Micah, come around here for a second, because we got history for a second.
So
we got Hellified Records in here, we got Mo Thugs in here, we got Damizza, Baby Reed, Lil Surge is here learning, all that kind of stuff. I don't mean Lil Surge like that, but youngster learning, stuff like that. Yeah. And I'm glad you're here because, you know, my biggest thing about rap, and this week to me, has been a very big learning process. And you and I had a conversation earlier today where I saw one of your videos and it made me feel, and you know I love you, homie, and I don't mean no disrespect to you. It made me feel like a proud father. Do you know what I'm saying?
No.
Because where you've come from, and when we first met, and just so you know, let's set some background here. Where we first met, he had just got shot up, and he was in a wheelchair. And he was having a release party that everybody was afraid to go to because it was a 60s party.
Right.
Okay? Now, I'm a new music director at Power 106, white boy from Santa Barbara, don't know nothing about no gang shit.
Right.
Zero about gang shit. The only street shit I learned was from the big homie Micah.
Right.
Now, that's where Micah comes into it. And it's just ironic that you two were friends, and Micah Hellified Records, if you don't know, Seven, shout out, got record coming with you.
That's right.
God bless. Big Sev doing his thing, Death Row era, all that shit. But anyways, Micah taught me a valuable lesson about the street when I was probably about 13 or 14 years old. I came to him and I said, I want to sell. And he looked at me and laughed. And he said, all right, kid, here you go. And he handed me a... Can I say this?
You can say it.
The statute of limitations is over.
20 years ago.
There's no indictment here.
So what happened was, to just be real, I'm just going to be real about it. I came to him and I said, I want to sell. And then I went back to him about 2 weeks later, handed him back something that I sold. And I said, you know what, dude, this just ain't for me.
Which is very lucky because you're not really allowed to give it back.
Well, do you know what I'm saying? No, I'm serious.
Well, you know, at the time he was young and he was fresh to the
but
game.
But wait. But that's how my big homies acted.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
But the end result is tell them what I told you.
But let me finish, and then you guys go off on me, whatever you want to do.
We can go off on
But
you.
no, truth be taught, sometimes I need it like everybody else. But and Caz has gone off on me, and you have gone off on me. But what I'm saying is, you know, we come from a generation, or some of us did, of where the big homies would take the time to teach you something.
Right.
No matter how much shit you talked to them, or how many codes you broke, and then kept you in line the whole way.
Right.
And saw it, as you would say, through and through. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think this week made me a little angry. Is now as an older guy, and me being what you would call an OG in some of the things that I've done, not in as you guys, because you're a generation, whatever. But like these guys, there's no one teaching these guys how to do it right and how to do it like that. And what I'm saying is like when we were talking this morning, my whole thing with knowing you and getting to meet you was no one understood you. Do you see what I'm saying? I understood you from the second that I met you. But it was because of cats like this.
Right.
But do you know what I mean? Like, but there's two things that never happen. One, people don't give the credit where it's due.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't say, okay, you know, we don't need to get into all of pedigrees and all that kind of shit and all that stuff, and it is what it is, but people don't take the time to sit down and say, hey, homie, this is how it is, or even big homie, let me show you something, or even little homie, show the big homie, or whatever it is, and let it go back and forth. People's ego and pride get all crazy.
Right.
And when I saw that record this morning, what was the title of it?
Change Gonna Come.
Change Gonna Come. It was the first time in our very first session, I remember sitting with you, and I told you exactly what I wanted to see.
Right.
I said, I want to see some real conversation.
Right.
And I want to see you talk a certain way, and I want to hear what your heart has to say.
Right.
And all I heard was, God, I'm going to kill this motherfucker! Goddamn, blast this motherfucker! You know, all this shit. And I'm like,
Killing him on the record, right?
No, I'm just kidding.
But he's serious.
But that's what it was.
No, but I said, look, okay, if you're gonna say what you're gonna say,
Right.
tell me so I can understand it. Don't yell at me.
Right.
Because all that's gonna make me do is go, all right, whatever. Because I hear a lot of hooping and hollering anyway.
Right.
But tell me a
And-
listener doesn't want to get yelled at.
And if the track he played for me was for a song called Big Caz, and it was for my first record, which was called Thunderdome. That was huge.
That's right, I remember that.
Yeah, and I actually went back to prison. It was the #2 biggest independent record in the country, and I was sitting back in prison. And I remember I wrote something at first, and you were like, "That's cool," but yeah, it was like a job interview, and I sat down, I was like, kill, 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 you ain't shit, fuck you, and the vagina you came out of, and he went very angry, and he was like, if you're Big Caz, why do you need to talk so big? It should already just be big. And he actually came up with the hook, the beginning. Well, I didn't know what a cadence meant.
Yeah.
I'm a convict. We didn't.
A lot of rappers out there still don't know what cadence is. Sorry
Well, no,
to tell
explain
you.
what it is, though.
Well,
I mean, that's what I want.
Fundamentals
This
of
is
the
what
game.
I want from this tape.
Right.
This is what I want from this tape.
Okay.
I want some older cats that have been through what we all have been through individually.
Right.
Mistakes and not mistakes.
Right.
But I want it all on the board so some of these little homies
Right.
can look at it and go, look, if would you grab that door? It would look at it and go, wait a minute, we got something fucked up.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well,
It's the same thing with the other video.
Right.
I wasn't doing it to bang on anybody,
Right.
and I meant nobody any disrespect.
Right.
But what I was saying really was, look, my fault included. I walked away.
Right.
I didn't do my part.
Right.
Okay, so now what I'm doing is taking a step back and
Right.
saying, okay, my bad. I thought I was. I came back to Santa Barbara, helped the little homies,
That's
all that
what you're supposed
kind
to
of
do.
stuff.
That's part of the whole
That's
thing.
part
You're
of
supposed to give
that.
back.
Take care of my family, all that. Oh, now fuck me?
Right.
Okay, my bad. Just because I had to go take care of my grown man shit?
Right. But that becomes the biggest problem that, without saying any names, cats that knew they did turn their back.
Don't.
And it was close.
We don't want to go there.
And through and through, I'm just somebody, and we've said 3 different stories, and I ended one, on how we met, and how we did our first song, and how you met Micah, and how I met Micah, and how my relationship may grow with this youngster. A lot of the cats that turned their back never had a bone in their back to hold them up, so you were actually the bone. And
Wow.
I know it's kind of deep, right?
Philosopher guys.
You write this down?
So
Wow.
a lot of cats aren't built that way. Their pedigree isn't that way. So you become that spine, and that's what makes a fake gangbanger. Here's your gun, here's your hood. Go. Go what? Go bang. When? Right now. Where? Everywhere. Why? Because. Fill in the blanks. And where I come from, we come from the fuck that era.
Well, okay, let's get to that too, because a lot of people don't understand what you came from.
Right.
Okay, now we touched on it a little bit, but like you said, we didn't end it. Okay? I met you when you had just gotten shot up at a McDonald's drive-thru and you were in a wheelchair.
Wow. And there's somebody, no, never mind.
No,
But,
but wait.
We can deep on this one.
But wait, no, let's talk about where you came from.
born
Where did you grow up?
3rd Avenue and 52nd. To a German white mother. The Crenshaw area, 8 blocks from Crenshaw's, 7 blocks from Slauson. And, that is the heart of where I'm from. I'm a born and raised LA kid.